Welcome, everybody. Whoa, let's move this one. Welcome, everybody, to Simulation Talk 374. What a lovely evening, Saturday night. My hair is bananas, and that's okay. Welcome, everybody, to Simulation Talk 374. Surprise, surprise, live. Mo, how are you? Adrian, good to see everybody. Zach. Okay, let's see what we can get into tonight in the time allotted. Maybe this one will go. Hope everybody are doing great. How was your Saturday? How's your full moon Saturday? Whoa, what's going on? Okay. Wait, what's going on here? Give me 1 second. Okay, I think everything's in place. Apologies for this. What up, Jay? Guru, how are you, brother? Frame of mind. Good to see you guys. Erica, Steven or Stefan, Marisol, Joel, Evil Icon, all the good people. How are you guys? Hope everybody is doing great on this lovely evening. Oh, let me start the chat on Discord. First of all, our website is codeofreality.com. Codeofreality.com. Let's make sure to start the chat on Discord. Here we go. Wonderful. Thank you, Frame of Mind. Love the third eye talk. Yeah, it was a fun conversation. Third eye drops. Go watch the latest conversation with me and Michael. That was a really real pleasure. Really nice conversation. What up, Maverick Star? Okay. So just a reminder that if you guys want to help our Twitch channel grow, please go follow us on LaserX83 on Twitch. LaserX83 on Twitch. Aaron, how are you, my brother? Good to see you. How's this full moon treating you? John, Gatekeeper, DJR Visuals, Picasso, and Joel back in the house. Oh, man. No, I don't think we're going to be getting into the free will today, but you know what? You'll be happy to learn that I'm writing an article for my new Substack, which is, by the way, just Danny Goller. And the next article is going to be about free will. So just, I would say, wait for that one, because I think we spoke about it quite a bit. The short answer is yes. You don't have the thing that you ought to call free will if the words would mean anything reasonable. So the article is going to be about that. I think you're going to get a kick out of that. Which, by the way, a good opportunity to mention that if you guys want to follow my Substack, please consider to become paid Patreons on Substack. It would help me create more content, of course. So, and the first article is already up there. So it's just Danny Goller at Danny Goller, DANNYGOLER. And also, the fact that you don't have free will does not mean that everything is automated. Those are not even entangled in any meaningful way. Just woke up 4:35 a.m. in Finland. Welcome from Finland. Around the subject of disclosure in general, what do you think would be the worst scenario out there? Are we just cannibal for another species? I don't think about the worst case scenarios because these are pointless. The reason that I don't involve myself with this kind of stuff is because I view it as pointless, because whatever is happening in the largest scale, something you have no control over, the only thing you can do is to align yourself with just being present and feeling as comfortable as and as harmonious as you possibly can in the present moment. That's the best course of action, no matter what happens. Uh, One good thing to think about is what do we feel like? What would it feel like to be you the day after the disclosure, if the disclosure happens? So think about it. Like, does anything change for you? It's always the anticipation for. It's almost like you're always waiting for Friday, but the second Friday comes, you're like, oh my god, tomorrow is Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday again. I gotta go to work. So it's a very fleeting moment, and as long as somebody can sell you that there's something to wait for, they can control the narrative. They can sell you books. They can sell you movies. They can sell you. And by the way, if you want to consume this as entertainment, by all means, you should do it. But if it makes you attached to it emotionally in a way that is unreasonable because it doesn't actually influence your life, then that becomes a problem. And I would say that's a much more important thing to look at. I am the Code of Reality guy, correct? What is happening? What about lasers in different temperature substrates? Colder or hotter than better? We haven't really played too much with temperature in that regard. I have to admit, something to try. I would agree that it's definitely something that needs to be tried. Good idea. The short answer: we haven't tried substrates with different temperatures as far as we, like really aimed for it. I'm sure there were different temperatures to the substrates we used, but it's not something we were aiming for. You got it, Jay. Underwater, no, but you can project it through water, and you would definitely see a difference. You got it, me, aka you. Oh, me, not me. I believe I saw the code after a deep meditation session. It's very possible. Thank you so much, X Tribe. Give me 1 second, everybody. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. And we're back. It is very possible that you maybe saw the code after deep meditation. I've only slightly listened to your YouTube video, so has the code been decoded? Any way to verify? Too long of a discussion. The short answer is no. There's a long way to go, I would say. First, we have to discern what is this substrate we're even looking at. And also, just a quick encouragement that if you guys want to ask a question, if you can, please frame it in terms of yourself because it makes the conversation a lot more full and interesting. What makes you ask the question? Who are you? What got you interested in this position? Doesn't matter what you ask about. Who are you behind the question is actually super interesting. So let's try and ask the question, and have the conversation from the human perspective. What is it like to be us, and why do we care about the things we do? Have you tried an on object charged with meaning, like a cross or a sacred icon? Yeah, I don't think it's that kind of a thing. I don't think the object shape would matter at all, or the whatever it's instantiated with. It's not, the idea is not too crazy. It doesn't seem that this, whatever this is, has this kind of a quality. Like it's more of a kind of like an objective thing, kind of there, which is what makes it stand out actually. But a good question. It's not a crazy question. Everybody are evil today. Evil icon, evil duck. What about the good duck? The good icon. What up, Sabrina? What up, Bruce? And by the way, did you see the code? What up, Gory Gray? Table, Kojo, Cebu. Welcome, everybody, on Discord. If you guys want to join Discord, you can find the links to it in the link tree in the description on TikTok and also on YouTube on the main page. Fourth link from the top. Is it possible for simulation to function without any evil at all? I have no idea. I think that ultimately the balance of things would have to be maintained. So there would be an equal amount of yin and yang. But that's both a very deep question and a very long discussion, obviously, that doesn't really have a resolution. So I think we'll table it for today. Thank you so much. Axe Tribe. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Have I ever met anyone who seems able to see the code or deeper patterns naturally without medicine or tech? Yeah, I met two different women, and also you sent it in 942. Wonderful. That claim to have seen it without the molecule, and I have no reason to doubt them because there's just not that kind of a person to just kind of make things up. So I'm very open to the possibility that there are certain people that can see it without any help at all. In fact, I do think that whatever the molecule is allowing us to do is something that we will eventually figure out how to do by ourselves. So if that was kind of the direction of your question, yeah, I do think it's possible. I haven't figured out what it is. Maybe it's just people that are more kind of tuned in or something. But and again, thank you for the contribution. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. Second. Do I plan to do events that help others to see the laser experiment for themselves? So we have a retreat coming up on February 28th in Costa Rica, but it's going to be a very small group, and it's the retreat. We made sure the retreat is super luxury, so it also comes with a price tag. If anybody's interested, you can always email me at dengoprox@gmail.com to know more details, or you can just go to this link right here to find out more, which is just core retreat, COR retreat.com. But obviously, this is not for everybody's pocket. At least in the beginning, we will definitely create programs that will make it easier. We just have to find places in the world in which it's legal. So Colorado can be one, other places in the world. And eventually we'll get there. But if this is something that might pique your interest and this is something that you can participate in, please feel free to reach out and give me, I will give you more information. And by the way, you can also see other people's experiments by going to veilbreak.ai, VEI L break BREAK.com .ai, sorry, veilbreak.ai, and it would give you 444. Nice. It will give you the it will give you a bunch of accounts of people that did the experiment, and you can even leave yours anonymously. This tool was built specifically for that by David Carter and by Carmelo, our incredible software engineer. We're very grateful for. I'm very grateful to them for that. Have you or anyone asked while on the molecule state what the code actually represents? Yes, and it's very clear that this is the one thing they won't tell us. It's something that we're supposed to figure out. It's actually part of the whatever is supposed to unfold, I guess. When you close your eyes, I see fuzzy blackness. I'm confused. Are we talking about like just generally or the yeah, there's no usually we give in the conversation. The total price is 10K. It includes everything you can possibly imagine. A week. And it's going to be a very small group. By the way, our tribe. I'm not sure to pronounce it. AX tribe. AXR tribe. Did I answer your question, or was there more behind the question? Feel free to ask, of course. You got it. And by the way, we are planning to do a few of them a year, and then we'll obviously create a program that's going to be more affordable, because the point of these is just to kind of create a little bit of cash flow for the organization, so we can actually do more things. We basically self funded, even though it's a nonprofit. So we do have donations here and there, but we're self funded. So this is a good way for the organization to actually gain some traction and do some good work. But eventually, we'll of course create programs that are more affordable. But these are this it was purposefully created to be very intimate, small group. But there's the amount of things that are included are just incredible. Plus, you get basically like world class facilitators in their domains. So we guarantee people come out with a new head entirely. I'm asking about underwater and different temperature on the substrate because I'm relating it to a version of focusing the aperture of a camera. How do we focus this new camera? Well, I think water is not a good thing to focus anything, because the refraction index has a particular it has a particular value, but also it depends on angles and the density of water and everything else. So it actually would be very hard to control. You don't need to play with the aperture or the angle of the lens. The better way is to use it exactly how you use it with the laser. You can project it through a glass of water, and then you would be able to see a little bit of that in the glass of water. I see RGB noise when I close my eyes. Okay. So, like, again, you guys are going to have to be a little bit more specific. You mean when you're under the influence, or just like naturally? Mario is saying the photo I sent you via email was of a tablet screen zoomed to a max using the magnifier on an iPhone. Find it interesting that what came about was symbolic in nature. You emailed it to me, to which one? To lasersimulationx@gmail.com? When was this? You got AXR Tribe. World class virtual elevation. True. We could have done a 20K. Um, your profile pic. What do you mean? I'm gonna check real quick. Again, you're gonna have to kind of tell me what email it went to and when it went to, and then I'll be able to look. Which chat? I'm confused. Last week. That's a long time ago at this point. You want to resend it now, and I can look at it, because there's a lot of emails every day. DJR Visual saying, can you or others still see the code without the laser? Not me. No, not me. I think when I get really tired, but then it's hard to say if my brain is not filling it in at that point. What up, Diamond? Back up. Yeah, but whatever your image is super tiny for me, so it's kind of hard to see what we're looking at. Let me know when it's sent, and tell me which email you used to send it. And what is your... Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That is interesting, but I kind of have to see what the picture is of. Can you show me the picture of what it's actually of? By the way, to be clear, it's not at all how the code that we're looking in the laser under the experiment appears, just to be clear. Huh. It was still of a TV show. Just find it strange that the diode emit light in a quasi-symbolic shape. I'm not sure that it's correct because I think it might have to do with the uh, quirks of the lens and how it perceives these shapes. You're saying that it was with the iPhone. The iPhone does a lot of digital guessing, so it might be just I don't know exactly because it's I need to know the details of. You said you took it with an iPhone of a TV. I thought you said of a tablet, or you mean like a tablet, like you mean like a screen, like of a like an iPad, something like that. Is that what you mean? Thank you, IXR Tribe. I appreciate you. Very generous donation, much appreciated. After experiencing this firsthand, what question about consciousness feels most unresolved for you? That's a good question. Um, what is its actual relationship to the rest of the world? Definitely. Is it the world or is it some derivative of the world? Like, how does it relate to everything else? That is the question that for me is the most open ended and the most pressing, which I think that by answering how easy or how difficult it is for certain people to see the code, I think we might be able to start approaching. I think it might be something that is actually telling us something about how people observe things. And therefore will tell us how these things unfold. iPhone zoomed in on an iPad. Okay. So let's see. Without knowing anything about it, right? So this is how I like to go about it. Just to kind of get some baseline, I have one ChatGPT that is very well trained to be super neutral. The most neutral, I guess you can get it. So let's see. I took a picture. Zoomed in picture with an iPhone of an iPad screen. The pixels in the image seem to look a bit like some kind of symbols instead of point like. What can this be? Let's see. Let's see. Some form of a digital guesswork the iPhone is doing, or is it something else? Okay, let's see what it says. This is just to kind of get us started to see like what ChatGPT has to say about it, and then we can guess from there. And what you're seeing is real, but it's not secret symbols or hidden code. It's a tracking of very mundane digital effects that only become visible when you zoom way in. Here's what's actually happening piece by piece. It's giving me some images, it's generating them. And it says one, screens don't have pixels the way cameras do. Interesting. An iPad display pixel is actually made of subpixels, usually red, green, and blue elements arranged in patterns, not dots. Depending on the panel, LCD, regular RGB stripes, OLED, pentile, or diamond layouts. When you zoom in, you're not seeing points, you're seeing geometry. Your iPhone camera isn't capturing pixels, it's reconstructing them because it's the way that you see it on the screen is not like it with a camera. The iPhone sensor uses a Bayer filter, itself a pattern. So when it photographs another pattern, the screen, two grids interfere. This causes strange shapes, glyph like forms, repeating motifs. This is called aliasing. Aliasing? I don't know how to pronounce this word. Aliasing. And more specifically, more. Oh, it's a more wire pattern. I never know how to pronounce this word, even though I know the word very well as somebody who did film for a long time. They can look eerily symbolic, especially at certain scales. Three, the iPhone is absolutely doing digital guesswork. Modern iPhones aggressively apply uh, demosaicing, color reconstruction, edge enhancements, local contrast sharpening, AI-based detail recovery. When the iPhone can't resolve what's there, it hallucinates structure, not unlike how perception works in the brain. That can turn simple subpixel grids into zigzags, pseudo characters, repeating script like forms. You're seeing interference between two rendering systems. Anyways, you got the picture. There's a bunch of it. Yeah, always start with like, especially when you like when something looks insane and amazing. First thing is kind of like go to ChatGPT. Just get a vibe. It doesn't mean that what ChatGPT is going to say is going to be true. Just get a vibe as to what explanations, kind of like what the average of human thought has to offer to you, which is what ChatGPT is. And then if it's not satisfying to you, explore each option. And by the way, you can press ChatGPT on these points. You can say, "Hey, I understand you saying this. However, why would this not be true?" And if you train your ChatGPT to answer you with like not to butter you up, but to actually resist what you're saying, you can get pretty far with it. What up, Mikhail? Good to see you. And again, yeah, AXR Tribe, thank you so much for the donations. It is very generous of you. Receive with gratitude. I love the word pertinent. That is an incredibly pertinent question. You got it, AXR Tribe. Do you think eventually we will find a way to interface with the code? I think so. I think so. Appreciate you too, Mario. Have you asked ChatGPT about your discovery since we are on the topic? I'm just curious. That would not be a good question to ask ChatGPT. So there are certain things that you can ask ChatGPT. This is the big. This is a really good topic that we might want to maybe cover tomorrow in the members live. But this is a big confusion. So the question I just asked ChatGPT was a good starting question with ChatGPT, because don't look at ChatGPT as something that knows answers. Okay, what it does, it consolidates everything that humans say on any topic, and it kind of like the average of all human language that exists that ever uttered. That's what it's trained on, right? So it would average out to the things that are the most likely thing that people would say, and usually it would pick the things that our experts would say on a particular topic. Because what I discovered is so cutting edge and so fringe, you don't have experts, and you don't have an average of what people say aside from a lot of guesswork. It's not going to be a good topic to ask about. This is why asking ChatGPT about things that are like super like advanced and like super cutting edge is not a good start. You can use it as a sounding board for your own thoughts, but again, you want to be careful because ChatGPT, if it's optimized for anything, is optimized for smoothness of conversation, which means that if it picks up on cues inside of in the way that you talk to it, which is very easy to do, by the way, that you kind of want it to just agree with you, it would do that very kind of, you know, in the beginning gently, and then not so gently, and then it becomes very addictive, and people are like, oh my god, I've discovered this, I've discovered that. Be very careful with ChatGPT in that way. It butters you up all the time. So I actually tend to just say, hey, like in the beginning of every chat like this is like, this one I didn't have to do it because I already did that in this chat. But usually every new chat that I start, I asked it to keep answers pretty concise because otherwise it gives you like a whole scroll every single time. And unless the answer requires a more lengthy answer, it will make you less exhausted from like just interacting with it. And I'm asking it, hey, make sure that you don't just go with every single thing that I say, and make sure that you actually come up with counterpoints to what I'm asking you. Like, think about ways like you want to set up a chat GPT that's actually pretty disagreeable with you. So by the end of each discussion, you kind of know that there's enough pressure to build something coherent and not just something you kind of wanted to lean into. So ChatGPT is not some kind of a magic answer giver. Like, it's not what it is. You can use it as the average of human thought. That's how you should look at it. But you should be the thinker. Don't ask a question that you want to know answers to. Find out what kind of answers humanity gives you when you ask that question, but then think about the question yourself and think about what it means if humanity thinks this about this particular topic. You see what I'm saying? Use it as a sounding board. Don't use it as an alternative for your brain. Don't ask it questions you just want to know answers to. Google would be much better at that. What is the main consensus of people in your group believing the SLA's experiment to be? I don't think there's a consensus. I really don't think there's any understanding whatsoever what it really is. Maybe people insist that they have some understanding. I would insist that there isn't. Can you others? Oh, I think you asked it before. I appreciate you, XAR tribe. What does that mean, by the way? AXR tribe. Based on fundamentals, I understand what you're saying. No, not so much fundamentals. It's based on literally the average of everything people ever said on the internet. Think of it like that. Pertinent is a perfectly cromulent word. Cromulent. I'm not a native speaker, but I got a perfect grade in English in my high school's final exam. Well, I enjoy the way you use English. Has the cone gotten smaller over time for you, or does the size of it depend on the amount of molecule for you? No, I think the code is, oh, in the beginning it's super tiny, what usually people notice in the beginning, and then actually you notice more and more things. So you can still see the tiny, but you can also see the larger structures. I don't think the code actually changes over time. It just, you notice more things. Newfoundland, Canada. Aha, thank you, Andre. Thanks, then you are very wise. Are you saying it because I said I enjoy your English? What is the main consent? Oh, wait, we read this. Let's see if we have anything on coming on Discord. Wild Rat and Ghost and Stephanie joined us. Table is saying, Dan, is there a repository of specific symbols that have been posted somewhere online that people have agreed that have been seen during the laser session, i.e., where one or more people have confirmed they have all identified the specific symbols? There were maybe 2 or 3 symbols total that I think a lot of people can agree on. Do they live anywhere specific? I don't know. They should. The cross reference should happen on Veilbreak, but I think because Veilbreak is relatively new, I don't know if it's enough to gain that insight. But yeah, I can tell you that there's maybe 2 or 3 symbols that are agreed upon by everybody. But again, like I'm always in the habit of saying, I don't think the symbols is the way to go. I really don't. Like, I think it's kind of a waste of time, or at least at the moment, it's a waste of time. I think it's way more relevant to ask questions about the structure as a whole and find out what is it actually doing and how it relates to what we're doing, if at all, and then find out if there's any way to perturb it and or our perception of it. Because the second you have that at all, like even in the slightest, Now you can start working with it. Now you can start asking other questions, because if you can't create perturbations, I can all of a sudden say, okay, now that I see this reliable perturbation that I can create in the code or its observation, I'm going to ask myself, do I see the characters change around the perturbation, or are the characters the same? And because the fidelity of the actual transcription of the characters is so low, because it's just kind of humans remembering it, I would say it's a bad thing to rely on, because people, if you come up with approximations, even if people agree on the approximations, eventually people very quickly will forget that we were talking about an approximation and not about the exact thing. And considering the fact that we have no idea, not a shred of idea of what is it, we don't even know that it's language. We don't know that it's code. We're just calling it the code of reality because it's kind of like the most catchy thing. And, kind of like it looks like a self-executing code, but we have no idea what it is. So I think that's kind of building things on a house of cards, because you can have people attached to the proposition that that is the symbol, when in reality we had no idea that that's exactly the symbol. Also, we don't know if it's even a symbol. So I like to go step by step, and I want to clear the first step. The first step has to be, let's find anything at all to say of value about what is this larger structure and how it behaves. I have no idea what this means, Wild Rat. This is not a language that I know. What up, Spider Lulu? What up, Turtle? Uh, thank you, Andre. Andre, thank you for another donation. Much appreciated. I'm very curious of the entities. What vibe did you get during viewing them? Do they make movements while watching? Has anyone yet had a unique experience with them, like talking or communication? Are you talking about the ones that we report inside the laser? Or are you talking about just when you go into hyperspace? I'll wait for your reply. Maybe it's both. I don't know, but I want to make sure that I answer your question directly. Thank you. Very, very soft words. Or a wider laser so large blocks of code are visible. Uh, Again, good advice. We tried it. It doesn't really help. If anything, it confuses you more, because now there's more information to draw from. The discovery is so mind blowing. Do you have any personal thoughts on where this discovery will lead us? Will we ever know the meaning of it, its significance, etc.? My intuition is that yes, and I believe it will lead us to a complete reformulation of what we believe this world to be, en masse. But I don't really know, of course. Andre, I'm gonna wait for your answer, because I don't know if you meant the ones in the laser or you mean the ones that are just in hyperspace. This is why I was asking about the size of the code. It's been so small recently for me that I'm getting the feeling from it them that it's not about characters but more about the whole thing. Yeah, it definitely is about the whole thing. Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're exactly on point there. The laser. Okay. So if it's in the laser, um, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, because sometimes you see what looks like faces. I don't know if there's like one outline of a vibe. Some of them are just kind of like wonders, and they're just kind of looking at the light. They don't even care about you. Some of them kind of look into the surface and look at you. I've been seeing less and less of them. I'll be honest. But I've definitely seen them, and someone lives there. Like for sure, this seems to be somebody's home. But I know it might be unsatisfying. But I can tell you that the insectoids that I'm seeing in their hyperspace, they seem to be kind of indifferent. They just kind of do their thing. There's also the kind of more kind of like heavenscapes beings, and they're obviously very caring, very compassionate, all the things you would imagine these kind of beings to be. Maybe it's worth doing a video about this entire zoo of different beings, even though I'm pretty sure that the internet is filled with these, and I feel like it kind of lands on an empty punchline because it doesn't. Nobody really knows. You know what I mean? I agree that the topic is very surreal. I have seen entities a couple of times, and they're mostly faces, not whole bodies. Yeah. So you've seen. Oh, Van Dweller, that's you. Okay. And what vibe did you get? Okay, they're smiling to you. To regards the code, I personally think it is just qualia like pure syntax. I think we talked about this before. I'm not sure what you mean by this. I think you will need to see it to comment on it, Turtle. At what stage of the molecule trip do you see the code? All of them? All of them. Is it after the third hit? You can see them quite immediately. It's just that in the beginning, if you've never seen it before, it takes a little bit more to see it. And then when you see it for the first time, you just do a little bit and you see it right away. You see a bunch of it. We have the full protocol on codeofreality.com, and you can see exactly the details of how other people do it on veilbreak.ai. Codeofreality.com appears on the screen, as you can see, and Veilbreak, I'll put it right here in the chat right now. Veilbreak.ai, you have other people's accounts and exactly how they did it with all the reports. McKenna said the entities are syntactic. Again, yes, this would be a very lengthy conversation. I think that it requires more than just saying that. Let's just say that. What up, Mikolos? Peace to all entities in sentient life in all realities, in computational realities. Thank you. Just finished the third eye drops with Andres Gomez. Woohoo! Do you enjoy it? Yeah, we have drawings of it, Bruce. You can just go to join our Discord, and I'm sure people can point you in the right direction. The link to Discord is the fourth link from the top on the main YouTube channel. And also, you can see some articulations of those painted, I think, on veilbreak.ai as well. Thank you, Guru. Maybe it might not seem neutral to anyone who is being operated on. That's true. That is true. It's a red way of saying good. That is the weirdest thing, man. What up, Ghost? I think I have a compelling theory, but I have to put it together. Here we go again. Another paper. Nice. Can't wait, man. Did you mention that the entities on the other side of the wall doing a laser session, noticing your laser light on the other side, or did I misinterpret? No, you heard me exactly correctly. Tell us more, Nico. Also, hope you're doing well, Stephanie. I'm assuming you're taking care of your kids. That's why you're being in the background. Also, good to see you, Chris, Spider Lulu. What do you think it is about the laser that allows us to peer into the specific realm? Great question. I have no idea. There's something about coherent light. Maybe it has to do with resolution. I don't really know. Maybe it's just revealing the light field of the hologram and you can see the pre-rendering of the computation. Those are a lot of very fancy guesses, but I have no idea. I wish I knew. But we're working on it, obviously. This is something that we're actively thinking about all the time. Van Dweller is saying what the entities look like in the laser is similar to the art called Time Wheel by Saliva Droid, except it's all red and an entity is made of the code. Time Wheel by Saliva Droid. Time Wheel. Saliva. Let's see. Ooh, that is so cool. I've never seen this painting. That is so cool. Yeah, I guess something like this. Stephanie's saying, I think they're asleep. Fingers crossed. Just hanging out, listening to others' thoughts. Not sure if I have anything to add to the convo at this point. Always so realistic. Andres said all the entities come together to make up the Buddha. He also said Jesus was there. Interesting thoughts by a world expert. So Jesus makes up Buddha. Would be interesting if you drew an image with a Sharpie, transparent sheet of plastic, like the transparency is used with overhead projectors, and held it up again. Yeah, you can't do that. That won't work. They're too small. There's not a Sharpie in the world that can do it. Not a pen in the world that can do it. It's way too small, and they're not stationary, so they're moving all the time. They're moving constantly in different degrees of freedom. So there's no way you're going to be able to do that way. It has to be by you kind of taking a snapshot of the image and then transcribing it to paper. The Buddha is here with us. Come on, Nico. The Buddha, Guru, Augie, the Buddha is right here. What the entities look like in the laser? Oh, okay, right. I saw a similar code on Mahjong type tiles flying towards me while on 2.5 grams of Enigma mushrooms. This was while my eyes were closed. The tiles were very bright, as if being illuminated by the sun. Beautiful. Did you see the representations of the code before? Mario is saying, Danny, you have ever asked Aya shamans what their thoughts on this discovery means, since lasers aren't something they would naturally be familiar with? So I had one shaman do the ceremony with an Aya in an Aya ceremony with the laser in Central America, and he put everybody after kind of like towards the end of the ceremony, put everybody on the ground, on the floor in a circle, and projected the laser on the ceiling, and everybody saw the code, and everybody were just laughing. It was a very fun experience. But other than that, I don't have a lot of insights, but maybe something. Which states can we order those vapes from? Oh, which states in the US? I don't think you can order them from anywhere. I think you have to go to Colorado. That would be the way to do it, the elusive truth. What do we have here? What is this? We have messages? Somebody's messaging me. But I don't see any messages. Very strange. Haha. Weird. Imagine if you discovered a way to catch it on camera. Yep, that would be crazy. Although, like electrons, you see the effect. Yep. What up, Nomi Cat? Oh, and yeah, and good reminder, if you guys want to follow on Twitch, our Twitch channel is the LaserX83. Come join us on Twitch and listen from there and help the channel grow. LaserX83 on Twitch. That would be wonderful. Thank you. And welcome to all the new listeners. If you guys are asking questions, please make sure to ask them in terms of yourself and what makes you interesting. What makes you interested? Sorry. Tell us why you're interested. Because that would make the conversation a lot more lively. Would like to follow the human first principle, which means that before any political affiliation, religious belief, or conviction you might have about the world, we want to treat each other as humans first. Electron microscope in the lab. I doubt you will see anything because that magnification will be way too great. But with the microscope, it would be interesting to see. And yeah, if you guys haven't shared, liked, and subscribed already, no matter where you're listening to, please do so. Now, share, like, and subscribe because the algorithms definitely favor that and love that. Have you ever had any time travel, time related experiences on the molecule? Yes. Such as an event happening in the trip that happened in real life. Well, that's different. I feel like that's more like premonition, but I definitely had events that kind of like happened and then went back in time and happened again, or at least that was my perception of them. Uh, Actually making videos of what we see using fMRI plus AI. Yeah, that from what I understand, for people who actually know what they're talking about, that is not. It involves a very sophisticated guesswork. So it's not really giving you what the brain is actually seeing. It's using AI to kind of guess what it might be. But if you're talking about some cutting edge thing you're trying to detect that you've never seen before, or don't even know what continuum along which you're seeing it, this is not going to be a very useful tool. You need something that actually records directly from the cortex with a full Rosetta Stone intact, which is we're probably decades away from. I saw the laser. I was baptized by the symbols that formed right in front of my eyes. That's crazy. Wait, so when did this happen? Well, this is like a poem you wrote because that's amazing. And thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate it. Has anyone tried looking for the code in a state of sleep deprivation? That works for some reason, which is a good data point. That's a really good question. It does work for some reason, and you see it more. It's almost like your brain gets too tired from holding this reality down, and all of a sudden, whatever's outside starts coming in. I've even seen the console really, really clearly one day when I was working on a project and couldn't sleep for like 2 days. So interesting, good question, DJ. Ton of classic songs are nice. You did that, and you saw also the code. Have I ever heard during a trip on a molecule songs or tones directed at you? Well, I don't know how you would know they're directed at you, but I've heard music for sure. Not just buzzing, electrical sound that envelops everything, but separated from that. Yeah, no, I've heard a guitar that was just standing, not the frog guy case, just a guitar that was standing in the room, and all of a sudden it started playing itself, basically, literally, when I was on the molecule. Guess Drew Colorado is coming. Yeah. If you want me to connect you with Kevin and Haley from Colorado who are doing the extended state, let me know and I'll connect you. Just email me to dangoprox@gmail.com and I'll dangoprox@gmail.com and I'll connect you with them. So you're seeing it now? How long have you not slept? And by the way, if you this would be super valuable if you actually, even though you just lack of sleep, if you can fill up a report right now on veilbreak.ai, that would be really, really helpful. I just posted the link. Veilbreak.ai. If you can post your account and tell us exactly how many days you didn't sleep and all that good stuff. What up, Raja? 2 days. Yeah, that seems to be about the line. But yeah, if you can fill out a report, that would be super helpful. Nico just came back. I heard tones in a trip that ended up being played in a song by a bandmate. It was wild. Had a full blown time meltdown. That's crazy. And I know exactly how mind blowing that is. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's pretty incredible. Okay, let's see what other topics people might raise. Oh, I'm just gonna do a few announcements. This does not mean that we're finishing. I like to do them now, not at the end, because that way we can keep talking after. So if you guys are interested in the retreat coming up on February 28th, you can go to coreretreat.com. Right here, I'll drop the link, corretreat.com, and let me know. You can book a call there, and we can talk about details if it looks interesting to you. It's going to be incredible. We have top of the like literally top of the line facilitators in their domains. It's in a beautiful paradise place, 5 minutes away from the beach. It's incredible. So if this looks interesting to you and you have time on February 28th till March 7th, let me know, please. Again, it's coreretreat.com. COR retreat, just one word.com. We are at the final stages of the movie, and it's going to be incredible. Aaron Venden, the director, huge shout out to Aaron. He created an absolute masterpiece. And Chris Paris, our producer, who also edits on the film. Both of these guys are just created an absolute. I'm blown away by what they did. Really, like just my head goes off to them what they've achieved. Also, special shout out to Joshua Fisher, our incredible cinematographer, who's responsible for a lot of the beautiful visuals that you guys are going to see in the film. If you guys still want to donate to the post production, it's a very costly process. So you can donate by clicking on the link below this live right now. Second link, and it's the link to the documentary. Exactly. It's called The Discovery, and the second link takes you to the trailer. The trailer has the GoFundMe page, or just go to Dango Thoughts on YouTube, DANGO Thoughts. Search for The Discovery, and the trailer will come up. In the description of the trailer, you have the GoFundMe page. If you donate over $1,000, you will automatically be added to the list of people who would all see the movie as a world premiere, even though it's obviously going to be distributed like in the regular way. Working on distribution now, but we will retain the right to do a world premiere for the people who are on this list, and it's going to be with Q&A with us. It's going to be incredible. So yeah, I think that's pretty dope. And if not, don't worry. I'm going to make sure that you see the film. Working on that now. You can check out all my Substack, which I have one article up right now. Please consider to become paying contributors to the Substack because it will allow me to create more content. It's just Danny Goler on Substack, just DANNYGOLER. And a new article is coming up soon about free will, actually. So await that. It should be dropping probably this upcoming week. If you guys want to follow me across, if you guys want to follow me across platforms, will be Danny Goler on TikTok and Instagram. Danny Goler also on Substack. Goler Danny on X, just swap them, and LaserX83 on Twitch, which I highly recommend you guys go and join from Twitch, LaserX83, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube, DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. And you can also follow my new show on Spotify called 0 to 1 with Danny Goler, From Earthbound Minds to Cosmic Citizens, the show that talks about the future of humanity. Once again, it's 0 to 1 with Danny Goler. And on YouTube, on Dango Thoughts, please come join the membership program that makes you a member and gives you early access to all my content, as well as access to my weekly lives for members only, in which we dive much deeper into all kinds of topics. And it's a lot of fun. We have one usually every Sunday. So if you join the membership program, it will give you access to that. And grab yourself something from the merch store on YouTube. Cool shirt, cool mug, cool hoodie for the winter. And we have the Code of Reality designs, and we have the Human First designs. The Human First design logo denotes the attitude that before any political affiliation, religious conviction, or any belief you might have about the world, we should treat each other as humans first. And I think it's a pretty cool thing to rock. How are you, Eric? How you doing, brother? Longest documentary trailer ever. You've seen it, the new one? No, the new one is actually going to be a lot shorter. I don't know. Have you seen the new one, first of all? I don't think you've ever seen the new one. So the new trailer is actually going to be dropping very soon. You guys are going to absolutely, you're going to go bonkers of it. Like, you'll see what Aaron managed to do. It's quite incredible. All right. What else? Of course, if you want to know more about the laser experiment and everything else, you can go visit codeofreality.com, codeofreality.com. What up, Lala? Where you can find all the stuff about the lasers, the protocol, and everything else. And if you want to run the experiment or see other people's experiments, you can go to veilbreak.ai, veilbreak.ai, and see other people's reports and leave your own if you want, even anonymously. So that's pretty cool. And of course, please come join our Discord community, the link to which you can find on TikTok. First link in the link tree in the description on my main page, and on YouTube, the fourth link from the top. Come join our Discord community. of like-minded people sharing these wonderful, wonderful ideas. Come join us. Um, Andre donated another 10. Appreciate you, brother. Very, very generous. Thank you so much. You're a pioneer, brother. That can't be easy. Anything about your own reaction the first time you did it that surprised you? Also, can you describe hyperspace? So, thank you for the kind words of support. Um, I'll be honest. The first time, I wasn't even really that surprised. I was more just a little bit in disbelief. Like I couldn't believe that anything worked because usually nothing works. So it's like, you know how it is. It's usually a goose chase, and this was happening for years. That I was searching for some kind of an answer, and all of a sudden something panned out. So I was like, I just was, the real shock came when other people started seeing it. Then I was like, whoa, like what? Like other people are saying this exact same thing. That was really hard to believe, even for me. That's when the real shocker came. And also, can I describe hyperspace? What I'm referring to when I'm saying hyperspace, I just mean the space you go to when you're under the influence, but I don't really know, it just feels. Let me just maybe connect to something that is where you stand in terms of your perception. Have you ever done any of these things? Surprised the DARPA or the like have not contacted you. You have had several scholars, right? I think the truth is that these these entities are not as they're not involved in the most of the time in what people think that they're involved in. Cryo Squid. I'm glad you're excited for it. Yeah, so if you've experienced it, then I guess you're asking like what my experience of it is. Is that the question? I would say that it's different when you start experiencing it from the perception of I've done medicine and gone out to space, to outer space, the Great Pyramids, but not with a laser. Interesting. The Great Pyramids. You did it inside the Great Pyramids? You mean like? Uh, Thank you, table. The premiere. Well, we're still figuring out how to do the world premiere, but this no matter who we sell the movie to, we will maintain the rights to do the world premiere. So we're gonna do it. We don't know yet, but we guarantee that it will be happening. Hold on, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. What up, Blank? Buy the Discovery on DVD. That would be that would be funny. Um, Write down Aya. How does the computer? Yes, I would say Aya is the human channel, and the molecule is the totality of information available. Let's say. So I'm just saying, no, I was in the United States. Medicines were facilitated. I had the experience of going to those places. I see. I heard you mention hyperspace, but not sure what you meant by that. Yeah, I just mean the, you know, hyperspace. So like the space you go when you're in these spaces. When you go the place that you go to on the molecule, I would call it hyperspace. Did the guy say smoked the molecule in the pyramid? Thank you, JJJJEEE, for the donation. Much, much appreciated. Receive with gratitude. Very generous of you guys. Much appreciated. Um, oh, Spider Lulu, thank you so much. Much appreciated, Spider Lulu. Oh, Stephanie's trying to come on. Only now see it. And also, just saw that Nico joined. How are you, brother? And how are you, Stephanie? And by the way,
hey, how's it going?
Good. And by the way, if it's not clear, I want to make it clear. If you guys want to come on and chat on Discord, just raise your hand and I'll bring you up. What's up, Chuchun? What up, Stephanie? How are you?
Hey, Danny. I'm doing well. I think the children are sleeping snugly, so I might get a chance to chat for a minute.
Beautiful.
I had a small question for you that I thought would be easier here. I think that I will be getting the opportunity to do a Bufo ceremony soon.
Beautiful.
And was just wondering, I started to look it up because I don't know too much about it, but then I started to see God knows what of people saying this, that, and whatever. So I just wanted your opinions on the experience or any recommendations.
Yeah, good question. I would say the first thing is stop looking at what people say and listen to your intuition, because it is
exactly. I quit real quick.
Yeah. It's the, especially with you did a lot of work in your life on yourself and kind of being connected, so don't worry too much. I can tell you that my experience of it always is that it's just the most descriptively, it will sound the most vanilla thing because you've heard it a billion times over. But I would say from all of my experiences, it is the bullseye of the mandala of that feeling, that like the ultimate unification and connection of everything, without a shadow of that doubt that that is the case. So it's the thing above all things that tells you don't worry about it. Like tells you don't worry, everything is exactly where it needs to be. That's my experience of it. And one of my favorite things is to literally watch people coming out of it. It's just always just like, what? It's just like, what? Wow. That's just, the most jaded person comes out of it and goes, wow. Just like a real, like, so it's the closest to, I think, meeting God possible. And because of the power of the experience, obviously, if your vessel is not well prepared, it can absolutely go into, like, mega resistance land and not very pleasant, obviously, right? Then but it would, that I would say that would be the reason. But if you've done the work and you're doing it with, especially when you're doing it with a facilitator that knows what they're doing, and or you've sat with it and you asked yourself and you asked it, and it's a full thumbs up, don't look at what anybody's saying. I do think there's a lot to be said about the fact that the Western culture is kind of ill prepared to really handle these things culturally, and this is why the individual utterances tend to be incomplete at best, and just way off at worst. So I don't want to use any derogatory terms, but like it really, people are just like kind of find themselves with a lot of conviction when they actually didn't put in the work to even understand the framework they're stepping into. So of course it's not surprising. That would be my take.
Sure. I've done psilocybin ceremonies many times and have meditated for 20 years. And so, I mean, I'm well prepared and have a lot of respect for the ceremonial aspects of it. And, from listening listening to prior conversations on here that other people have kind of talked about running into the dark stuff. I never have, and I have no fear in that space and in life in general. I think because I've done so much work, and so it just I'm not worried about scary stuff or difficult stuff. It just doesn't.
But
I mean, I've had very uncomfortable
and
experiences,
I will
but
tell you
not
something.
scary. I'm not.
Yeah, I will tell you
Mhm.
something. The 5, which is the active ingredient in Bufo, it's not content driven.
Mhm.
So it's very somatic.
Hmm.
It's very somatic. There's
Mhm.
definitely visuals that you can see. I definitely see visuals, but they're more, and I don't even want to plant any ideas in your head. Um, it always feels
Right.
more like if NN is the management company. I always say it with some trepidation because I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anything, but it really is kind of like just my perception of hierarchy, and hopefully
Mhm.
whomever is involved will forgive me. But NN feels more like management company, and then 5 feels like the architect.
Mhm.
Like it is the thing above all.
So do you find if you go into it with an intention, does that influence it, or do
Oh,
you have any
well,
agency in it, or do you just go and it happens
it
to
is the
you?
most, as someone who is seeing himself as a mapper, and I went into it like, when it gets to the outskirts of itself, I manage to kind of grab a couple of shot like frames, but it is the most unmappable
Mhm.
thing possible. Like mapping is just out of the
Hmm.
picture. Like you just it's not that it's just
Mhm.
boinkers. It's not that it's just like crazy. It's just that the the machinery in your brain responsible for kind of relating things just goes away. You actually dissolve. Like you
Mm.
just go like there's just no. You have to just like fully let go. It's almost like you stripped away in every possible way, and you just have to let go fully because it's just you can't. It's like you're trying to do like this verse. It's just like there's you can't. It's almost like you where you think you reside in terms of the attention, even that point disappears. Does that make sense? So it's almost like even when there's a non-dual state,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
you've meditated for a long time, so for sure you've experienced them. Even in a non-dual state, it's true that
Mhm.
there's just kind of just the world, right? There's like the agency kind of drops out of the picture. But when you experience that, you
But
realize,
the
oh,
witness is still there.
yeah, the witness is still there. There's still a central thing happening, right?
Mhm.
In this case, it's almost like there's just none of that. There's just perception in all possible spaces and directions, and it's not even your it. There's just it, and there's just the second you try to grab on, it
Fascinating.
tears you apart. Like you just like just let it go fully,
Mhm.
and it's very. I always kind of like to. It depends on the people. Usually, it's really good at release. It's almost like defragmenting your state, your physical state. So a lot of people, what they start doing is that the
Mhm.
hips and the legs start like shaking like this because there's a lot of tension there usually, and it's very common actually.
Mhm.
And for me, it's always I like to just open up and just allow the whole thing. It's almost like an enormous wave, and I'm just like whoosh. I just let it like wash over me, and I tend to make a sound
Mhm.
or something just to help kind of the energy move. So just something, right?
Mhm.
But then, as long as you fully surrender to it, I really think that the bliss is what is the main driver of the thing. It's like everything in place, feeling is so overwhelming and beautiful. I'll tell you. I'll give you a short anecdote. I'm not gonna mention who that is because I don't know if they want to be known for that. But met someone who's a scientist or is an engineer, and he has this kind of like very uh not quite jaded, but like the tortured genius attitude, which is like kind of like don't bother me with this, I've seen it all, kind of like. And it's funny because for the most part that person is right, which is kind of like that's the prison, right? Because you're so right so often, it's kind of hard to convince you that sometimes you might be wrong because you're always right. And so that kind of attitude, right? But not obnoxious, so like not quite Dr. House. Okay, so just like kind of like somewhere. And then his brother was there, his older brother, and we were like having a nice discussion, talking, and then he's like, "Hey, I really want to try it." I was like, "Sure, yeah, go ahead." And he never done it before, and he done everything else, obviously, and he does it, and me and his older brother are talking. Lovely people, by the way. And then mid sentence, because we were just kind of like went into the conversation, and I was stopped paying attention, and his older brother like stops me mid sentence, and he goes, "You can't see me right now because I'm, because you're not on YouTube, but hold on, I'm just gonna show you kind of the gesture. I'm gonna turn on the camera here. Can you see me now here?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, his older brother, right? I'm here. I'm playing his older brother. He's listening to me, and then he stops me mid sentence. He holds my hand, and he looks at him, and he goes, "Okay, that's hard." And I'm looking at him, and he's just like this, and then he comes out of it, and he goes, "Whoa!" And he goes like, "What?" And he goes, and he just smiles, and he's just like, and he just starts running around everywhere. And he's like, "This is it. This is it. Wow." And he just starts running around the whole thing. And he just like, and he has a Faraday cage. So he runs into the Faraday cage, and he takes off his socks and everything. And he runs in, and he's like, "Okay, we're going to ground ourselves. Okay, we go again." It's like, he just like, it just became like this little kid who just like, for the first time ever saw rain or something. Like, it's just like, it literally, yeah, it's just like you're literally reborn. Like there's no better way of describing it. So I highly recommend, especially for people who have done the work.
Have you do you know about, or have you tried Sapo? I think it's called.
What is it? What?
Sapo, I think it's another toad. I think it's SAPO. I think it's another toad derivative. You like burn a spot on your arm and then put it on you.
Oh, you're talking about no. Well, I guess sapo is another word for it. You're talking about this Buffon and why am I spacing on this? I've done it. It's that's my badge of honor right here. I don't know if you can see.
Is it called snuffing or something?
No.
No.
Not sapo. Well, maybe sapo is another word for it. Somebody can tell us here. Who wants to come on and chat?
The reason I bring it up is
Casey's going to tell us right now.
Not a pleasant experience whatsoever.
Yeah, no, not
but
at all.
It was one of the most powerful.
Really?
Because you purge and vomit and your body just takes over and you don't have a choice. Like you have to surrender, you have to release. It is going to happen. And it was such a great teacher in the physical way of surrender and to mimic that mentally and emotionally and psychically, to just let go. Like let go. You're not in charge.
What?
It was a really good experience.
What's the word, Casey?
If someone keeps offering it to me, and I'm spacing on it too, but the key word for me, they say that it's all about the purge, and I'm just like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Right. I'll find it. Sapo. Oh, Cambo. There you go. Yeah. So Cambo is just, I guess, the active ingredient, but Sapo, I guess, is the frog, is the toad. Yeah, I've done it. I'll be honest. So I get it, but it's almost like Aya without the pleasure part. So it's just Aya was just the vomiting. So it's just like, what is what? And I think that in general, and I don't know if it's because I've done these things for so long, I'm like, at a certain point you kind of go, do we really have to suffer to get to the thing? Because the 5 gives you that without the vomiting. I mean, you can. I highly recommend to do it on an empty stomach. But like, you get that, and you get extreme pleasure, and it's like, and by the way, I don't know if you know this, but there's some research now that actually focuses on what actually in ayahuasca, what actually causes you the purging, and they can eliminate it, I think. So like, I think it has something to do with some kind of an imbalance. And I'm really not sold on the whole. You have to suffer to get through the thing. Like I actually don't know if that's true at all. I think if it's,
I don't know. I don't think that you need it for. Yeah, I think it's
I just mean
beneficial as a
I get it.
teacher
I
of
get it if I get
allowing
it.
the bad to come.
I get it if it's like if we don't have a better way, then accepting that that is the way by attaching a story to it about like, well, you purging spiritually, all that stuff. I mean, that makes sense. Okay. But if you can do it without it, why shouldn't we do it without it? Like, and that's the, that I don't know. I feel like there's enough suffering. There's enough suffering. So it's like, but there's something about, but it might just be that I'm spoiled. That's also very possible, very plausible. I think I've just suffered enough.
It's also a dangerous inroad for people that want to take advantage of you when they promote suffering in order for something good. It's like, oh, you got to be really careful with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the end, it's all personal. Like, if you're saying, Stephanie, that for you it was extremely freeing, I mean, that's all that matters, right? And also, it's a lot shorter than Aya, so I guess in that regard, you can say it's cool. Yeah, I've done it.
Also, I would never do it again. Like,
it wasn't my
once is
favorite.
good.
Wasn't my
I
favorite.
learned.
Yeah, I wanted to do it because I feel like I'm, again, I'm mapping, right? So if I don't do a thing, I feel like I'm kind of doing a disservice. So I knew that at some point I'll have to do it. So I had an opportunity. I'm just gonna get it over with. I'm just gonna do it. And yeah, it wasn't my favorite. It was nice. It was cool. I've definitely had more transformative experiences. For me.
We think though too, you are already so experienced in the Tao, what comes and what goes. Like, you're a very non-attached person to begin with. So I don't know that you necessarily needed to learn that lesson, or it may not have been as powerful when you've already kind of come to that space.
No, I have a
surrender.
I appreciate your kind words, but no, I have a lot of work to do. I mean, haven't you noticed? Like I can be
Danny, get on the couch.
Yeah. I'm a no, but like in a way that is not like, I'm very aware, and one of my tools is the self-awareness. But the self-awareness is not excusing the moments in which you have to be self-aware of these things. You know what I mean? It's like, I am very disagreeable by nature, and you're a psychologist. This is one of the big fives. They're kind of unshakable. It's just what it is. It's how my brain is constructed. And I don't think it's an excuse. I actually think it is that way. Like, there's a certain structure, and I think it's designed genetically for a reason. There's all kinds of people for all kinds of reasons. But that part of me, definitely, for whatever humanity is going through right now, that's a problematic part of me. Like, it plays a role, I'm sure. Like, it's very hard to move me from my position, not because I'm stubborn, but because I did a lot of work to get to my position. So it's like, I know why I'm with it. But that part is a very resisting part, and that part definitely always and forever will need more work. But I think that all I'm saying is that I don't think we necessarily have to suffer to get there. It also feels to me like, again, it's almost like back to that discussion about the Buddha, right? My big question, and this relates to this, which is like the big question of, I remember I finished one retreat, Vipassana retreat, and we were outside talking. I think in that one I was volunteering, so we were like a lot freer than people who sit. So we were like kind of like outside and kind of talking about it, and the conversation was around the fact that, like, I don't really know it not in the sense of like I'm casting doubt on it necessarily, but I do mean what I say. Like, I don't necessarily know if the Buddha really captured the ultimate truth. Like, is attachment always suffering, or is there some balance condition that actually we can achieve? Like, because back in the day, in his day, it was suffering galore. Like, it was just like awful, like through and through. Like, from the moment you're born till the moment you perish, unless you're royalty, it's pretty much suffering for pretty much everybody, right? And then you kind of have to just deal with that. And then this is why, in that context, to say attachment is suffering, end of story, makes sense. But then I'm looking at my life, and of course it's not devout from suffering, and there's a lot to overcome. But if you would ask me, would you live it again? In a heartbeat. I would live my life again in a heartbeat. Like, I love it. Like, it's just so many different things. And by the way, not because of what's happening now, even before this, like, there's a lot of things in my life that I really appreciate and I enjoyed. and some of it is carnal, and some of it is, whatever, and even the lessons and all this stuff. And it's not even just romanticizing the bad parts because you went through them. It's like truly, like if somebody tells me like, oh my, what if you're Sisyphus and you have to, well, first of all, if you don't remember, you're not Sisyphus. Like the whole thing is like, if you don't remember, you don't know. Like you're just living it as if for the first time. So that's not a problem. But if it's so the reason that I'm saying it is because maybe when it gets to a more modern time where you can bring about a state that is a little bit more balanced and it's not just suffering galore, maybe it is worth also living content. Why not? Like it's here, right? And then obviously also with full awareness that maybe there's like heightened states that we're not aware of and we just don't know what we're missing and we want to aim there and all of these things. So in that regard, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not sure if we need to suffer to grow. Maybe there's a way to do it with less suffering and still growing. Maybe there's like a, middle path to be taken. But I'm always open to maybe things not being what kind of culturally I was designed to believe. And don't forget that all of these practices, they're still human endeavors. Like they're still, like I'm watching, again, one of my biggest critiques of the Vipassana community is that how close they are to use other things, right? And that's, I love Vipassana. I love it. I think it's a wonderful tool. And I think everybody should go. I always constantly advertising it for people to try. But I do have this issue with the kind of this slightly close-minded kind of like, no, it's only this and nothing else. And it's like, okay, well, what are the chances there's only one path? Well, like, why can't people acquire different tools? It just, so there's always this like human thing that keeps creeping in, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always trying to stay very open-minded about what in fact is true versus like, and that's why I'm trying to use my experience and nothing else to guide me through that. There's one case.
I've always kind of,
yeah, go ahead.
I've always kind of seen it like the non-attachment to the suffering thing is for the Buddha. I wasn't there obviously, but it has to do with for those higher states of mind, to avoid being caught in the loops. Like if being a experienced psychonaut, you probably know very well, like when you are attached to a certain thing, a fear-based thing or something, you could get stuck in a place beyond time where you feel like he'll be there forever and you can't get out. And it seems to be the attachment to something, an idea or thought or fear that keeps you in that loop. And so I've always thought of it as like what he was doing was talking about was, in those higher states, like when you die, if you are stuck to something, it's going to be a harder process to just let go, and move to these higher states of mind and enlightenment and stuff like that.
I think I agree 100%. I think, and I see that Andre actually told us right away, Cambo. Just we looked somewhere else. Thank you, Andre. By the way, Andre, come join our Discord because it's you can just jump on and chat. Just find the link, the fourth link from the top, and Guru, if you can drop it again, come join our Discord and jump on the stage. Yeah, no, I think it's exactly.
I also think that
go ahead.
The non-attachment can be a little bit of a defense mechanism or a safety kind of attempt for people to just never experience pain if they're not attached to good, if they're not attached to bad. And obviously it can be a good thing in a spiritual kind of evolutionary sense, but it also can be a very unhealthy kind of just escape mechanism to just never feel pain. And pain is part of the bliss of life. Like you can't have one without the other.
Well, so at least
yeah, I think non-attachment can go down a bad route.
Just to be fair, at least in Vipassana, I don't know how it is in other forms of mindfulness. I would assume it's very similar, but the point isn't to not feel pain, but to reframe so it's just a strong sensation versus pain. So just like without the definition, and all of a sudden it's just you can kind of be with any sensation. And in that regard, I can totally see how that's freedom. And I totally agree with Casey that basically it's a way to basically train your ability to be in the present moment in such a harmonious way that when the time comes to proceed to whatever the next step is, you can occupy that state. Really what you're practicing is being able to take that final moment perfectly. So when you do, because that's the belief, right? That the signature you occupy in your physical body in the moment of transition is the one that kind of stays with you. and that it, so what you want to be able to do is to create a harmonious state on command, like this, because when you are transitioning, you want to have as harmonious of a state as possible, which is the thing that kind of moves you through with that state. And then the ultimate liberation is that when you move with zero attachment, so there's no more sankharas, therefore you choose nirvana, like you no more reincarnation, you just kind of step out. It's just that from a realistic perspective, there's all these like things that collide with one another in the belief itself. So for example, what are the chances that one human at any point in time figured out everything there is to figure out? That to me sounds like, like as much as I love the teaching and everything, that just sounds like BS, right? Like, what are the chances that one human figured out everything there is to know? Because I know you probably know that the Buddhists believe that the Buddha was so transcendent that he basically taught the highest of gods, because they are, how convenient that humans are the ones that, you know what I mean? Because they came to him because you can only actually transition through form. So humans are the last form realm. So we're the only ones that are kind of like the door out there to nirvana. You actually cannot reach nirvana, according to certain Buddhistic beliefs, from the highest of heavenly realms. You can't, because you have no physical form to incorporate the necessary tools to transcend the form. So anyways, and also in addition to that, there's all these like colliding beliefs. Like, for example, they say if one person achieves enlightenment, that means everybody achieved enlightenment. Okay, but the Buddha did, right? So why aren't we all enlightened? So like and also there's just something kind of clear to me about the fact that reality must be unfolding into a space it itself cannot inspect. Therefore, there was no possibility of anybody ever discerning everything there is to discern, because everything that there is to discern will only be available at the end of time. And if you're not at the end of time, that you cannot discern everything, because nothing, it's not all unfolded yet. You can't possibly know all of that. So it's like, anyways, there's all these like, in the end of the day, I think the Buddha, all of this would just kind of sound like busy talk. And it's like, okay, but just sit down and pay attention to your breath. Does it make you happier? Yes, good. That's it. It's really which is actually true.
Well, I think your point too on Buddhism being applicable at that time period does make sense. Like there was more suffering and there needed to be more teaching perhaps about disconnecting from the pain of, having 11 kids and 9 of them dying of scurvy or whatever used to happen 2,000 years ago. And so now maybe we don't need that amount of non-attachment, or we don't need that amount of suffering to teach us. We may have graduated past that stage, hopefully.
Yeah, well, and don't we have
a lot of suffering
people
now, though, right? But it's more of a mental suffering than a physical suffering.
Yeah, there's a lot more
and so we
possibilities
have
of not suffering.
people that choose to incarnate as bodhisattvas, and those bodhisattvas' mission is to help people end suffering.
Oh, and I also see AXR. I just invited you to speak to AXR. How are you? How are you, Andre?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you for joining.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for your generosity. Receive with gratitude.
Very very kind of you to share what you're talking about. It's not, like I've said in the YouTube chat, it can't be easy sometimes.
Yeah, it's a
lot
lot
of
harder
time.
there. And we have a good team. And but just a quick thing, Gary, Ghost was saying, Buddha's teaching is not reducible to suffering. The Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path are one of the teachings given by Buddha, but it's not the core teaching of the Dharma. The Dharma itself says nothing of suffering because that's specific to a context, while the essential teaching speaks to a more universal truth beyond the experience of sentient beings who suffer. So to my understanding, and you can correct me where you think I'm wrong, Ghost, but it is the equivalent of the golden rule according to the Buddha, or at least according to the people who spoke about when the Buddha was asked, can you describe your teaching in one phrase? So instead of the golden rule, he said, attachment is suffering. That was it. That was basically that's what I'm referring to. So I don't know if there's something you have, like, there's all of these things, including what I just said, like you and I spoke about before. These are all things that people said about the Buddha, right? Like you said yourself, there's not one record of the Buddha actually transcribing something on writing himself. So it's all kind of hearsay, right?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It was a very rigorous oral tradition. As in Buddha, when he was, about to retire, he had his foremost students. He sat him down and he told them, "All right, so I'm gonna leave this to you guys, and this is how it's gonna be. I'm gonna pass this on to you, and you're gonna pass it on." And the main students that he had there are the people who basically took on the teaching and passed it down. They created the lineages, which became, the traditions, not just like Buddhism, but like the different schools of Buddhism and all these other schools that came up. They took those teachings, and through that oral tradition of, they will study. It was like going to school, like going to college. Like they would be meditating, practicing for many years, for decades even, before they'd get to that point where they'd be like, okay, like they'd be vetted too by, the masters, and the masters would be like, okay, so it looks like you're ready to take on the teaching and go out on your own and pass it along. And the reason it was like that was because it was of utmost importance for them to like retain, the essential teaching, because it was already known. Like during those times, they didn't have books. They couldn't just like record things and pass them along. So the way they transmitted from one person to another, like there was a very rigorous tradition about it. And so it's not just like hearsay. It was very like there was a lot of vetting going on there.
So is it
And
not
so
true? So is it not true that
the way we would know,
Yeah, go ahead.
it is true, but there's more to it. So
No,
the way
like,
that
is
we
it
would
not-
know
is it not
what
true
Buddha
that the-
actually taught,
So is it not true that the Buddha said that you can summarize his teaching in one phrase, which is attachment and suffering? That is not true?
it is true, but it's not the whole story.
Okay.
But what I was about to say was, so how we would know what Buddha actually said is that
We asked ChatGPT.
it's not just one person telling us. But it's not just like one person who's like the final, like one person will say it, but then there's going to be these other lineages. There's going to be other people who also receive the part of the teaching. And so as time passes and as these lineages diverge, how we can know what Buddha actually said is we bring them together, we cross-reference, we study them extensively, and then we start to draw out the universal teaching from it. And that's aside from, recorded sayings like in the Diamond Sutra, which are attributed directly to Buddha. But yeah, so coming back to the whole thing about attachment and suffering, now he did say that, but what's missing is that he was speaking to a very specific group of people, as he always did. Like during his time, Buddha he was, the most popular guy in his time. So everybody wanted to see him. The local villagers, the peasants, the royalty, kings, queens, princes, the monks who are also Buddhas themselves, but maybe not on his level. Like there's all kinds of people who wanted to hear from him. And there's no way he was going to go and tell him the same thing. Like you're not going to go and tell people who have been meditating for decades, you just got to know that attachment is suffering and that's it. They're going to tell, well, we've been doing that already. Like what else you got,
Yeah.
So what he says to the specific people he's addressing is going to speak to those people's experience and what he sees is the real need for them. Like what do they really need out of his, guidance? And so he'll instruct them according to their situation. And so because of that, like you'll notice that if you look at other sources of what Buddha said, you'll notice that he'll say different things. And sometimes it's not going to like translate. Like he might say something that doesn't really come back to, attachment is suffering. Like in the Diamond Sutra, like if you remember what I quoted the other day, he straight up says, like, forget about everything. Like there's no, like even directly says, don't even think that Buddha has spoken spiritual truths, because there are no such thing as spiritual truths. And if there is a truth, it's unspeakable. So just forget about all that and just use your mind spontaneously without, becoming attached to anything that arises from the senses or from the mind. And so that completely cuts off the whole idea that you have to know of attachment and suffering. Like there's levels to the teaching, basically.
So it sounds like the ultimate Buddha is the Italian Buddha. Forget about it. There's one. Thank you, by the way. This is very, very helpful. Because I couldn't remember. I was looking it up while you were explaining, and thank you so much for sharing all of this. Because I couldn't remember if it was. I know for a fact that there was something. Basically what we refer to the council level gathering, when they gather every few hundred years, and then they basically kind of all the Buddhist schools, and then they decide kind of like what is part of the central canonical thing and what is kind of like their own idiosyncratic little quirks as different. So the last one was apparently in 1954 to 1956, which is really interesting. And then do they, what I wanted to see if they produce a document, because I remember somebody explained to me that they do, like they all come, and for a couple of years or so, they basically all sit down and meditate. And then their leaders of the communities, they get together and they put one thing on a document that is kind of agreed on, that this is the central canon of what the Buddhists actually believe as a whole. And the rest of it is allowed to kind of be the human component, so to speak. And I wanted to see what the name of this document is. But do you know that, by the way? Because I'm looking up the name now. I just don't. I actually didn't know what the name of it was. There's a.
No, I don't. But yeah, I know of the tradition, which actually started with. It started like sometime after Buddha had died. Like that's when they had the very first. And like during that meeting, they didn't exactly agree on what it is. Like, because different people had different parts of the teaching. And maybe only like one or two people had the kind of understanding to have a comprehensive, grasp of all the different teachings. So there was some disagreement, and I'm sure that over time they disagreed more and more, and the schools continue to diverge further. So, like what is recorded is really going to be specific to the time and place.
But that's exactly the reason for that meeting, which is that they depart over time, and then when they meet again, this central thing they're all putting together, it's something that they all agree on. Okay, that is the central thing. So it's like that is still part of what they all believe, kind of the actual Buddha was saying, or versus all the other kind of different components that arose over time. And just before I forget, Andre, if you want to jump on also and chime in, feel free to do so. Here we just unmute and kind of talk, and also feel free to share some stuff about yourself if you want.
Yeah, love to.
Yeah, I'm just going to add one last thing,
Sure.
Which is that what I'm trying to say is I would take what comes out of those meetings with a grain of salt, because it inevitably gets political, and there's agendas, and there's this group versus that group, and who has the power and who calls the shots, and like it gets like that.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna say you can't trust.
And in Buddhism, the sects are as different as Catholicism versus Southern Baptist versus Assembly of God. Like as many different branches and different opinions in Christianity. Maybe not as many, but the different Buddhist paths are very different in what they believe.
Yeah, and also somebody.
They're almost like different religions.
Somebody said Kabbalah. I'm like that. Yeah, Kabbalah is hilarious. No, we're talking about Buddhism right now, but that would be hilarious if it's like a transformer that combines together. You have like the Kabbalah thing, then they all combine together into this Megatron or whatever it is. It's super spiritual. Andre, sorry, not Andres. Andre, come on and share some thoughts, brother.
Yeah, I was. Thank you for this. I was looking through some notes. I had transcribed from this medicine journey what I was saying while I was in, And I finally threw it into chat while we were on this call earlier. And I said, for fun, give me the key points, give me the parts to show up. And I hadn't realized that so much of it was revolved around, I was saying while I was on this medicine journey was about my wife. And I forgot how much it was. And I asked it, okay, well, summarize you got to put this in one sentence. And what it brought up was that through loving one person so deeply, it snapped something open and it turned it into this bigger mission to serve others through music with more humility and a long-term generational mindset. And that's the thing that is like the thing about medicine. It can open up these things, and then I also see people who become psychonauts, and then at some point you gotta, Alan Watts said it, that you pick up the phone and you talk to God. At some point you gotta put that phone down and and use what you got, right?
I always I think it was Timothy Leary, but it always made me laugh because I was like, that's not how phones work. It's like, okay, got it. Click. I was like, hello? I still have things to say. Yeah, I think there is some wisdom to the fact that there's this dichotomy between openness and appreciating someone, let's call it that, and also the fact that there's a more central column to be traveled with a more natural way. So like, I would fully agree with that ultimately the wisdom doesn't come from the use of these substances, because if you notice, if you look, all you got to do is look through any subreddit that involves a lot of people that did a lot of psychedelics. There's not a lot of enlightenment there. it's mostly people just like with heightened senses of selves, which is fine, but it doesn't actually, I think, does the trick. I think the introspection is still the thing that does the trick. What these things do allow for is an more open vessel, but I think that the work has to come from us. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah, and I think it's very hard sometimes to aim. There's always an insistence of the mind to come back and try and analyze the thing, and I've just embraced it. I mean, honestly, I've just embraced the fact that it's part of at least my journey, and I enjoy it, and I'm trying to enjoy it to the fullest.
Right.
Also, our brother Eric just joined. How you doing, brother? We'll take a moment for Eric to unmute. Probably.
What's going on, guys?
How are you, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey. Actually, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm still looking for answers for this one. It's not tolerance. It's something else. We know that. But sometimes I don't have the right advice to give people who are stuck in the penalty box.
In a what?
The DMT penalty box. And they can't. the penalty box, okay. Like in hockey.
Yeah.
And they take you off the ice. They don't let you experience the game.
Yeah.
Well, you can smoke DMT, smoke a whole bowl of it. Sober as a judge, your buddy picks up the empty bowl that's cashed and smokes the resin, and he's blasting off. That can happen and does happen quite regularly.
Okay.
I mean, I can smoke DMT all day long and not feel a thing.
Okay.
But it's not tolerance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Even Gallimore.
Sometimes saying things like "thank you," gratitude does change your mindset changes and does open up that sort of experience, but that doesnn't seem to be always the answer.
Did it ever occur to you?
I have experienced it in real time. Like, go ahead.
Did you ever occur to you that maybe it's not locked out like people think, but it's more like it's telling you, okay, well, now it's time for you to understand how to get to these places, not to the crazy places, but to the wisdom and all of that, kind of like more naturally until we're.
I'm just talking about seeing, the waiting room or the bar, just seeing any kind of visuals.
Yeah.
Other than the euphoric bodily sense, that's it. But otherwise, no visuals whatsoever.
But my point still stands.
You're not.
So the first thing to acknowledge, there's just a little bit of a delay here. That's why it seems like we're overlapping over one
Yeah.
another, just so you know. There's a so the first thing to admit, which is something that even Gallimore himself admits, and I'm only using Gallimore as an example because he's very trying to stay really close to the science, even though he's very open-minded. And he even himself admitted that
I
he said
agree.
it's really confusing, the fact that from a pharmacological perspective, and a just neuroscientific perspective, it doesn't make any sense. But they have definitely observed cases. So this is like real to anybody who's skeptical that this is actually happening. This is actually happening. It's almost like they're closing the tap from the other side, because even Gallimore said they had they had this,
Exactly.
they had this woman who was fully attached to like an intravenous extended state, and before they detached, like this drip was still going, and they told her, like in her experience, the DMT entities told her, all right, you're done. And then that she was done, like she was completely sober. And he's like, yeah, but the drip is still on, like, and she was completely sober, and they could see it in the brain scans. It's just like, so it's like, the first thing to acknowledge is that this is real. This is not just anecdotal, like people think that. No, that's happening for real.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I honestly think that it's more likely that it is what I just said. Like, it doesn't matter what, like, the fact that you can't see anything just strengthens my point. They want you to just kind of get to certain states by yourself. They want you to walk a more sober path for a little while, or maybe for good, and that's okay. And if and
Oh no, I mean, I've done this, and I totally understand, and even treating it like it's a tolerance issue. And like I could smoke weed all day long and not get high, but if I put it down for a month, holy smokes. It's that is not the answer for the DMT thing. I've gone 6 months without touching it, and then still nothing. Meanwhile, my buddy, same pipe, no problem. And the real thing is that just being able to kick back, like I'll put on a music CD, brand new album of like something. I just want to listen to it, and I'll kick back and close my eyes and want to hang out in the bar and just see all these great visuals of this new music album. I'm not getting nothing, and it's not like I'm doing terrible things in my life that my mindset's all twisted or something like that. It's I should be
I'm not sure.
good, but this is a common thing.
Yeah, I know, but
Very
I'm
common.
not sure. I'm still not sure that you're fully hearing me. I don't mean in the sense of like, this is you did it so much that you got tolerance. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what they might be
Right.
saying is that you need to walk up the path by yourself to find out how to get to these places just with your mind and nothing else. And I mean fully, like, and it might be for years. So it's like, it's not like you're gonna put it down for months or something, and it's gonna change it. It might be 20 years.
That's what I'm getting to.
I do agree, but I've had some unique experiences with that, where I've started talking to the room. Somebody was listening to me and started saying, maybe I haven't said thank you enough for all the times you've shown me things, and I just want to tell you that I do appreciate that. And that one moment. Now, I've been smoking DMT for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Still not feeling anything. As soon as they said thank you for all those things, it kicked in like it would, like somebody flipped a switch, and all of a sudden the visuals were there. I was like, "Holy smokes! Wow!
So there you go.
Okay, all right. So yeah, thank you. Sorry,
There-
not okay." But
there
then,
you have it.
as soon as I felt confident about
Question
it,
and
they
answer,
turned it
yeah.
back off. They turned it right the fuck back off on me.
Wait,
within
the
Or you
second-
turned it off.
Wait, why did
They
it turn
did.
it off? Why did it turn it off?
Just because. Just because.
Sounds to me like you turned it off.
Um,
I'm not sure. It's
no,
just
when I
because.
said thank you, like
Yeah.
this makeup, I was giving this catch up, if you will, for all these lost thank yous I didn't give out. But I said this one genuine thank you, and it's like it completely turned back off.
But
And then within a few minutes, as I was getting all confident, and then it turned right off.
yeah. So why not go
Yeah,
back?
you
to the
turned it off.
gratitude? You turned it off. Why not go back to the immediate
Well,
gratitude?
I say confident. I just meant like, okay, good, okay, I can relax. It's working now. And as soon as I felt that, it just kind of like didn't work again. And I'm like, come on.
But
It's
it
laughing
sounds
at it.
like
I mean, it'll do things like that.
It kind of sounds to me like it sounds to me like I could be way off, but you're not allowing yourself to believe what's happening. type of deal.
I've been doing extracting DMT for 20 years. I'm pretty confident that this is all legit in regards to the simulation.
No.
theory.
He
I
doesn't
want to
mean
share
that.
this
No,
with you guys.
he doesn't mean that, Eric. It doesn't mean that. He knows who you are.
But maybe we're back to the discussion of attachment.
Yeah, I think it sounds like
Attachment?
it sounds like the attachment there is too strong. It's exactly what I was about to say. It sounds like there's a so here's the story, right? So like, do you mind if I share your story and then you can complete the missing parts? So the short
Oh,
story,
I'll share a good one with you afterwards. Go ahead.
sure. So the short story, I'm just trying to give people the short version so they can kind of know the context so we can keep talking. So the short, and then you feel free to, of course, correct me or add details. But the short story is that Eric is a veteran and he was obviously PTSD'd, and that's the only thing that ever helped him. And since it helped him, he became very passionate of helping others, both people with PTSD and he developed his own protocol. And then he kind of taught people the protocol, and he developed a very close relationship with the molecule, and has been doing it. Look at his handle, right? Like all his channels, everything is like he put out a bunch of content, and he seems to be protected. He does seem to be protected by some kind of an energy, because there's even this crazy story where like the authorities like reached out to him and then they just let him be. Like it's just crazy. It's just
Yeah, a year and a half
Yeah.
ago, the DEA showed up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Took all my stuff. Didn't arrest me. Later, I find out I'm not under investigation. And that was it. And it was like a shakedown. It was like they wanted me to know that they knew that they knew what I'm doing,
So
and let me do it, because it is decriminalized here.
yeah.
So,
But I
even
do
though
want to.
But they were the feds.
But I do want to take it back to the core of the discussion that you raised originally.
Sure.
So now, because I
Okay.
do, so I think for again, anytime that I misspeak in behalf of someone, feel free to just immediately chime in and correct me. But if I understood the situation correctly, Casey knows who you are. He wasn't saying that you're not believing fully what the DMT is like real. That's not what he meant. He meant you didn't believe that. You might have not believed that actually that mechanism was the thing that brought it back, and then all of a sudden, they
Oh,
realized.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he
Right.
meant.
That's exactly
The power-
even one
the power
of my
of it.
articles is about gratitude and how important gratitude really is. And saying to somebody, "Hey, I really appreciate the thing you did the other day," because that little extra really reinforces it to them, and they're gonna be, "Hey, I kind of like doing that for somebody. I might do it for somebody else again," as opposed to not acknowledging their efforts. So,
And I think what Dan-
the DMT entities are sort of just as emotional.
I
They like
think
these
what
things as well.
Danny's saying too is a huge part too. Like I really get what he's saying, is that it's like if you combine the two things, it's kind of like, okay, maybe what they're saying is you need to develop a ritual or something, modify your protocol in
I could be
formalize
more
it in some
disciplined
way.
for sure.
Yeah, so-
and if you did it in a really a profound way, like a next step way, you'll have access to something.
You may be onto that. When
And
I give
also-
it more formality, it does tend to react.
But even
more
more than
appropriate.
that, just a little bit more than that. So that thing that Casey said before, which is like all of these things are just us practicing to take kind of like this final step. I did one of the retreats I did. I had the privilege of meeting this 90-year-old guy who started with Goenka like 60 years ago or something in India. And him and his wife have been part of the Vipassana community this whole time. They're like, he's in his 90s, she's in her 80s. So his words carried more weight in that regard because he was so close to the end of his life. And he told me, we were cleaning the kitchen one day together, and he told me, this whole thing is, and he has 60 years of experience or something, right? And he's like, this whole thing is just us practicing taking our last breath. And I was like, wow, okay. That's actually one of the most profound things I've ever heard. But here's what happens. We think we pay lip service to all of these kind of, ideas that are floating around there. Like right before you pass, the body pumps a bunch of DMT. Maybe not. So I don't know. But because we don't know this. However, I know for sure you won't. Well, actually, that's not for sure, because at this point you might plan it that way and you might have a vape right next to you or whatever. But let's say you don't. Let's say when it's your time to go, you don't have a vape right next to you. What I think they're trying to say is, hey, you got to practice to be this harmonious and this even keel, and all of the good things that came to you from doing this. You got to learn how to do it by yourself, because when the time comes, no one is there to help you. It's just you and your mind, and you need to be able to induce that state. So we want you to practice to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. And that, I think that's more of the. And then when you fully start getting into the thing, they'll be like, okay, great. Now you can come back and play. Now that you've achieved this level of awareness, because you said you also smoke weed, right? So now I'm not. There's you know me, bro. Like, I'm definitely not judging you, but it's, if you still smoke a bunch of weed here and there, that means that you definitely have a lot more work to do. And who am I to say, right? Because I'm not PTSD'd on that level, so I can't say. But I'm saying objectively, it would be better for you to be able to, at least to some level, grow to a level where you personally can just control the situation without any of the substances. It sounds to me like
Sure, I don't really actually use a lot of substances. I don't even drink at all. But in regards to weed, if I have it, if I remember,
yeah,
I might smoke, and I do tend to smoke at least once in the evenings. But the thing about it is that most people that are on their last couple breaths, a lot of times their adrenal gland is really kicked in. And it seems to be a commonality regarding, because if you're younger and you're exercising more and you're running around more, you're more mobile, you're generating a lot more DMT with young people. And then we start to lose DMT production. We're less active.
I didn't know
moving
that.
around as
Okay.
much. But
On the subject of, oh, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
well, I was going to say that the DMT ultimately helps us adapt. And if your adrenal gland is kicking in because there's a tiger chasing you, or you're struggling for your life or something, it helps you adapt to those situations. So
That might be true.
I'll just throw it out there real quick. If you haven't checked it out, you may want to check out Andres Gomez's 4D Matrix stuff that he's been doing. It's a little, Danny interviewed him recently. You can go to the YouTube site, and it's a little online thing, a visualizer. You might want to go check that out and look into it. In what he's been investigating, it's really kind of profound. More I've been working with it. I'll post a link in the chat right here.
Thank you so much.
It's made a real difference in us recently. And
what did you want to say,
Cool.
Ghost?
On the subject of gratitude.
Yep.
And, in general, when exploring these dimensions, I find that it's very helpful to not just think in human terms. Like when you think of gratitude, there's a certain way you think about that, like in social, relational terms. But like now you're going to a different reality and meeting different beings. So it helps a lot to be sensitive to the energy, not just to, the linguistic elements of it, but like the energy that's being communicated and being exchanged back and forth. Being sensitive to that facilitates the experience a lot more than trying to like reduce it to human terms, if that makes any sense.
I think it does. Oh, here's the link. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing.
I did have one experience that I wanted to share with you.
Please.
So when I smoke DMT, I might not, blast off or anything. And I'm talking about vaping it, not even actually smoking the powder or anything. I barely even ever touch the powder. But almost every time when I vape a couple hits, and then I put my vape down and I get distracted or whatever, if I do that, more than likely, I'm going to feel a sort of nudge in my hand, my elbow. The first time it happened, I was holding the bowl and I was distracted by watching TV, and it almost made me drop the bowl. It just like flexed my hand as if it were going to, drop, but I didn't. But I was like, what the fuck was that? And I didn't pay attention to it really, but it kept happening throughout the years. I don't know if anybody else has experienced anything like this.
Physical touch, absolutely.
It might be in my right hand, I'm holding a vape. If I put it down or holding it or crossing my arms, it'll be my leg that gets the nudge.
Yep.
It'll be some part, or even if I'm all folded up, I'll feel it in one of my elbows or something. And I do believe that it's my higher self, whoever's running the avatar. It's like being able to use a controller, and if your character was ever completely disabled, you can use your left bumper to like crawl, it's just like maybe they can nudge, a little bit. I don't know.
I got another one for you. I noticed a long time ago, in the, I've done it thousands of times, right? So I noticed something interesting would happen and this might relate to what you're talking about the adrenaline thing. When I will do it, in the middle of my spine and my back, I'll feel like a thumping, like it's like a pulsing, like something's going boom, 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 boom. Whenever I do the molecule, it's as if something's pumping and producing something. And so I started noticing early on when during the first year of exploration, that if I was to do the molecule in the morning when I didn't have the right nutrients in my body, that place in my spine wouldn't pulse, and I would not have a trip whatsoever. It's like, whoa! I just learned really quick. No pulse, no nutrients, no trip. So I don't know. Maybe with your background in the military and stuff, there's something that your adrenaline glands going or something. Could be.
To be clear, I was in the military for 7 months in training for air traffic control. I have ADD. You don't want a guy with ADD landing.
Well, maybe it's the ADD though. But maybe even if you grew up in a city environment where there's a lot of stress and stuff, but it could be something like an adrenal thing. You mentioned it, so it might be part of that. There are different herbs and stuff and tinctures you can take to like moisten that gland.
So that
could have something to do with that, but definitely a nutrient thing stopped it from happening for me for a while there in the mornings.
And just on a more
I was wondering if you guys can help me. Go ahead.
Just first of all, everything Casey said sounds like something definitely that I would try, because there's definitely signs that before, like that it almost communicates to you throughout the day. I've experienced like different forms of this. The other thing is, if you actually do just want to see if it's actually like something about maybe there's still an amount that will still get you there, you might want to consider like going to powder and just use one of these. This thing will torque you to.
Oh yeah, you know what? I don't even think to do that. It's just so funny because it's so convenient. But I should just like try to.
Wait a minute. Wait. So you you heard this is all problems with a vape? Okay, that answers it all, dude.
Oh no. I want to be clear that I have packed a bowl and smoked the whole thing. Like packed a bowl, like with almost at least a half a gram, and nothing, zero. Meanwhile, the guy picks up the empty pipe. He's like, I don't see anything. Well, this is great. I'm like,
that just goes.
It would be an interesting experiment to do more ceremony and maybe look at the molecule as more of a vehicle into, if you're getting locked out of a spirit realm and being kind of forced into the physical, if there was a message or if there was a learning to be had, what would that be pointing to? And even if you just experimented with ceremony and gratitude, and it could be secular, but still making a little bit more of a.
Who had made the suggestion of being more formal and stuff, but I think that's correct. I could get in my car and drive and smoke DMT, nothing, but it feels cool. I think whatever you're doing can dictate, how it's going to react.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, if I'm driving a car, otherwise I should be going off the road. I mean, really, DMT while you're driving? What? Yeah, not a problem at all.
Jesus. Okay, guys.
When DEA was here, they actually challenged me on this shit, and I said, no, I can smoke DMT and drive, but I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
This is how you get in trouble, bro. That's the one that gets you.
Yeah, I know. I'm really pushing it.
Yeah. All right, guys. This is an awesome discussion. But I do have to. It's already we're in the 2-hour mark, and it's getting a little late here. I appreciate everybody. We already did all the announcements. You can just follow all the links on DannyGoller.com. Just DANNYGOLER.com. DannyGoller.com. You can find all my links, and just reminding everybody that if you interested in the retreat, email me to dangoprox@gmail.com, or just go to coreretreat.com and just set up an appointment with me from there, meeting, and then we'll talk about it. The details, I'll put it right there. I want to thank our incredible moderator, Guru. Brother, you're the man. Always here, always supporting. Really, seriously, without you, this would not be the same. Much appreciated. I want to thank our incredible guests by the order they appear on my screen. Eric, Casey, Stephanie, Gary, and Andre. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming and supporting. Andre, thank you so much for your generosity. Receive with gratitude. And all the people that also joined in the chat, Chris and Spider Lulu and Wild Rat, thank you so much for the gifts. Vanille. What are we doing here? Okay, do we have any comments that I missed here? Syrian construct is directly linked to my home. So it's what? What? Okay. Oh yeah, it is a full moon. So happy full moon, everybody. Jay, thank you so much, Jackie, for joining. And I want to acknowledge you, the audience. If you're a new listener or an old listener, I really appreciate you always coming, supporting, asking questions, debating. Because without you, this would be pretty boring. So thank you so much for allowing this channel to be what it is, and for blessing us with your presence. And again, I highly encourage everybody to always focus on the human first component, which is that if no matter what your religious conviction, political belief, or ideas you might have about the world, treat other people as humans first before you go into any of those things. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll say everybody good night to everybody. Peace and love, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. Also, join the membership program on YouTube. Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts. Come to YouTube, subscribe, and join the membership program. So tomorrow you can join the members live, which happens only once a week for members only. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and peace and love. Ciao.